It is. It's 6:30, so I'll call to order the special board meeting of the Board of Library Trustees for Batavia Public Library District. And I will note that Christy is online, if that's okay with everybody. She won't be voting, but she can listen in and participate in the discussions. Okay, with that, Mary Ann, would you call the roll?
Yes, Kulata, Deachman, Ford, Hubbard. Here. Larson. Here. Russo.
Here.
Fasano. Here.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And the purpose of this meeting is to give the public a chance to comment on Ordinance 2024-001, approving and adopting the FY24 annual budget and appropriation for library purposes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. Is there anyone here or online who'd like to address the budget? Okay, with no one here or online to offer any comments, I'll just move then that we adjourn the special session.
I second.
Second by Elizabeth. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. And we're ready to move into the regular board meeting. And Lisa, do we have Mr. Peebles? And while he's coming in, I'll call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Library Trustees for Batavia Public Library, Tuesday, July 18, 2023. And Mary Ann, would you call the roll?
Sure. Kulata, Deachman, Ford, Hubbard. Here. Larson.
Here.
Russo.
Here.
Fasano. Here.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And Mary Ann, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to number 4 on the agenda, comments from the audience.
Is it comments or maybe you want to turn it into Mr. Russo?
Thanks.
Thank you. And David, did you want to speak to
Yeah,
us?
I got a couple of things. First, I want to thank you, board, for finally getting items labeled in the Batavia History Room, which was good. It took a while. And then the other big thing was getting the copy prices down for the color to 20 cents. I was on the previous library director. A lot of times we had friendly discussions, and I said, you got to be sort of competitive with your adjacent libraries. Well, you guys finally took care of it. The big thing I'm here for tonight is, I don't know if we'll get done in 3 minutes because I want to pass this around. The former director of the library, he had a big interest, like myself, in the Batavia History Room. And I sold him a bunch of things, and also I donated a bunch of things. And right now I asked him about the DuPage Atlas, which he purchased, and they're in the process of getting it encased in plastic casement, because every time you touch it, it would flake. It's 1878. Probably the main reason he bought it, because I told him, well, Batavia now, as you people know, is also in DuPage County. So he wanted it. But the biggest thing I checked on was this one I'm going to show you. It's assessor's plats of Batavia and Batavia Township. I was fortunate because I worked at Civil Engineers and Surveyors. This particular piece of data, the only place you can get it is at the Kane County courthouse, and probably it's on microfilm or something else. But anyway, the former library director, I either donated it or sold it to him. The reason the former library director wanted it, because it's the 1930s, it's Batavia, and with adjacent area, and it has all kinds of information about who owns it and so forth. Anyway, it's in a big casement like this, and the cover is like a 1/4 inch thick, and the back is 1/4 inch thick, and it's two pegs, and you have a special key to open it up, or you maybe have to take pliers. I opened it up and I made a copy for myself, and I'll pass this around and you can look at it. This is I think this is probably part of it, but there's other. And then they also had in there pasted all these different pieces, and it would tell some who were the owners and other information. But anyway, I talked to the director of who was in charge of the history room keeping all this information, and she says when the former library director left, he left in the DuPage Atlas, and they're getting it done. But she never saw this, and this is a pretty important piece of information. Now, I was lucky to acquire it from my boss, and it was just Batavia, since I don't work there anymore. And as you know, Kane County is made up of 16 townships, and they had these big atlases of the whole county. And Mr. Sheets, the former director, and also the one in charge, were real upset, and they threw them all out. So it's gone, it's gone. But I was fortunate because I talked to my former boss. I said, can I get the Batavia one? So I got the Batavia one, and he's got it, or wherever, but it's missing, and you need to find it to put it out there in the area. So I'll pass it around, and this is a sort of an idea of what it looks like. But anyway, you can pass it around. But I was glad I made a copy of it. And then the final thing is about the book reading deal. When you read 4 books, you get a free book. But they changed this a little bit. You do not get the book after you've read the 4 and turned in the sheet. You have to wait till the end of August 7th, and they're going to, then you'll be able to come in and get a free book and your name put in the hopper in the 9th. You know, I think it's fine to try a new idea. However, on the 9th, there's going to be probably a lot of people there wanting their book, and it'll be congestion and there'll be noise. And, you know, I talked to somebody and they thought maybe the old way was better. But, I mean, everything's new and some things are better old. So that's what I had tonight. Thanks for all the help you've done and getting everything coordinated.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
David. You know, you certainly gave us some things to look into, and we appreciate your interest in Batavia history that's shared by so many Batavians. So thank you very much. Any other comments from the public? And no one online? Okay. Then we'll move on to number 5. Would someone like to make a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I still move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Elizabeth and a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Mary Ann. Any discussion? Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda is approved. Number 6, We have two items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is the regular board minutes for June 20, 2023, and the expenditure report for June 2023. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Catherine. And a second?
I will second.
Second, Mary Ann. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the consent agenda is approved. Number 7, an ordinance 2024 adopting the FY24 annual budget and appropriation for library purposes. And Joe, do you want to introduce that?
Sure. So annually, we prepare an ordinance, so that's for the budget and appropriation. That's what we have the hearing for this evening. And now that the hearing is over, the board can approve it. You've seen it before. We've brought it up at several meetings in the past. And then once it's approved by the board, both Marion and Daniel will sign it, and then we send it to Kane County so that it is on file there. Any questions about the DNA?
We've looked at it before. It's been available to the public,
Right.
and so now we just need to approve it.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve that.
I'll second.
And a second by Elizabeth. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's approved. Okay, number 8, the financial reports for June 2023.
Yes, sorry. Go to page 35. So, one second. So this is for July, well, this will take us through the end of June 2023. And as Joe pointed out at our committee of the whole meeting, we're still waiting for a few items to come through for the end of the year, and I think most of them have by now.
One more this week.
Okay. I noticed we had the big Baker and
What are we
Taylor
missing?
thing.
The Amazon monthly bill.
Got it. Yeah. So if you look at the, we have the approved budget year-to-date projected, so you can see how much of the budget we have met or, gone over or gone under as of the end of June. And we're in really good shape in terms of revenue. And then for our library materials, we're pretty much right where we need to be, a little over in some areas, but a little under in others. All the way through our audiovisual, periodicals, electronic materials. So then the bottom line, though, is we still were, let's see, at 10% below where we needed to be. Is that right, Joe? We're at the very bottom of page 35 on the far right, 10.7%.
I'm sorry, which?
I'm on page 35.
Okay.
And under final June, the last column on the right.
Correct.
Go all the way to the bottom where it says 10.7%.
Joe, that's actually the prior year. That's
Oh,
the-
I'm sorry.
it's the
Oh, you're
percentage.
right, I'm sorry, that's 2022.
Right.
Okay, never mind. I was like, oh, we're 10% under. So then we go on, we have personnel expenses. We always are, as you can see, we budgeted for 2.2 and we came under at 1.9. And that's, a chunk of that is what's gonna go into special reserves when we do that transfer in August. Excuse me. And then, let's see, operating expenses, we have about 82%. We spent about 82% of what was budgeted. So all of these that are under 100%, and I'm looking at the year-to-date budget column, you know, and if you go through there, and then at the bottom of each category, it'll say subtotal for whatever. All of those, if they're under 100%, that means that money that's left over can go into special reserves and go towards, you know, the building. Let's see. So right now, we have we think we're going to be able to transfer to special reserves $1,090,000, which is slightly over what we had projected last month. So, any questions so far?
Joe, just one question.
Which Joe?
Either Joe. You explained, you've talked before about the personal property replacement tax. The fees and fines were 200% over.
Yeah, we budgeted at 5,000 and came in a little bit over 10.
So that's
Did it,
late
so-
fees as well as replacement, you know, if something is lost or damaged, correct?
Well, the fines are, the loss and damage is separate, so if somebody loses the book, damage is
Oh, I'm sorry,
they're
you're right.
charged for it. So the fines are literally what we pay for overdue. And it's typically, and I don't want to try to explain it because fully do it, but it's for stuff that's pretty well overdue.
So what is the fee part then?
I'm sorry.
With fines and fees, the fees are like administrative fees. What is the fee part for, this is actually maybe for you, Stephanie.
Actually, the term is just you know, I'm not even sure it came to, it's typically just fines.
Okay,
Because we charge a
Late
separate
fees.
fee category
Okay,
for
got
it,
it.
so I should change that.
right,
Noted.
yeah. And we're just about, we budgeted for about 6,000 in damaged materials, and that's about where we came out.
Any other questions? Okay, and that's just a report that we don't need to act on. Okay, number 9 is the president's report. Before we do that, would any trustees like to share anything? Christy, there was a book sale last month. Do you know how that went?
Sorry, it took a little bit
Nope.
to get off mute. No, I was just looking for the email on that. I'm sorry, I can't report anything.
Okay.
Actually, I can. I attended with my 2 little grandkids and my daughter, and the place was absolutely jammed. People were walking out with bags and bags and bags of books. I had to stand in a line to get in to make my purchase, and I'm just in awe of how well organized the entire situation is down there, how they've got the books all neatly arranged, and people were just so thrilled to be there. So it's a great opportunity for our library.
And the Friends do so much for
They
the
do
for the
so
library.
much, yes,
So,
yes.
and it's a green thing to do, so it's a
Absolutely.
win-win-win. Well, good. Any other comments from trustees? Then, you know, I just wanted to mention Joe's got about a month under her belt, and we're glad that she's here. And, you know, I just want to acknowledge what a stressful time this was for everybody to have a change of director after such, you know, such a long time without a change. But I think the board certainly appreciates everybody's patience, and we're just looking forward to moving forward, so thank
So are
you.
And she's still smiling.
All right, number 11, upcoming meetings. I'm sorry, directors and librarians reports.
Okay. So just an update about the decennial committee meeting. We have, our 2 residents have agreed to participate. That's Barb Donnet, thank you, and Joanne Smith.
Mhm.
So our first meeting is going to be on Thursday, August 3rd at 6:30. So the committee of the whole meeting will follow immediately after that. I don't imagine it will be more than 20 minutes. We're going to kind of lay the groundwork of what the decennial committee needs to do, go over what's required, et cetera, and then the next meeting, since we have to have 3 meetings in about a 16-month period of time before the end of October, sometime in October, we'll want to have the next meeting, the second one that's required, probably the very beginning of 2024. I think since December probably would be a tough month to do it, so
Mhm.
I think if we wait until after the holidays, that'd be best. And at that point, I will, excuse me, I will have prepared a really good outline or a draft of what we can put into that report. That'll give us the opportunity to have some discussion, see what we want to add, what we want to, beef up, or things that we want to make note of in that report. Then I can then turn around and update that report based on that meeting and present the final draft at the 3rd meeting. So if we feel we need to have more than 3 meetings, we certainly can, but the minimum requirement is 3. So I think that second meeting should probably be, we want to give it a little more time, so we might want to schedule it separately from a regular board meeting. I'm not sure how the board feels about that, but something we can think about.
Mhm.
So that's the update with that. So library email, I think everyone who's here has already been using your new library email that ends in batavialibrary.org. And
I got my password.
you did, okay, good. I know you were having trouble. Okay, so I think Jennifer's the only one who hasn't. Okay, it's really important that you switch over to the Batavia email. For FOIA reasons, for privacy reasons, you need to, from now on, only use your bataviapubliclibrary.org email address. Because I won't send any correspondence to your personal email anymore.
Understood, but I'm having some problems with my username. So,
Okay.
and my husband actually came and brought the whole kit and caboodle to the library, got some help from somebody here.
Are we able to get in then?
No.
Okay, so we'll help you with that.
Okay.
So that's that. And board retreat update. So I was talking to Daniel. I spoke with Nancy Sylvester, who is the parliamentarian specialist, procedure specialist. She doesn't really do a lot of in-person anymore, but she does virtual. However, she charges $3,000 for a 3-hour workshop.
Virtual.
Yeah. So she's not cheap. She's excellent, but she's not cheap. So I can look at research some other options. The problem with in-person training for board members is that there aren't a lot of consultants out there in the state of Illinois. They're, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio. So if we were to get somebody, a specialist, to come in and do some kind of training for the board, there'd be travel costs included. There's a lot of online virtual stuff out there, but I'm still working on what we could do that would be in person, which I think everyone would prefer. There is the consulting firm, Dieter and Todd. Dieters and Todd. They do board training. I've heard mixed things about, what they present, but that's the only local option that I know of right now. So, depends on what kind of training what kind of retreat you want to have.
One, I don't know if anybody's seen it, because I just sent it out this afternoon. But after our last board retreat, we did a quick survey. Lisa helped us with it just to gather thoughts of the board. And, you and I could work together, and if anybody else would like to work on this, that would be great. One efficiency I had seen a workshop with Nancy Sylvester, and I actually rewatched it today. And the people at Rails, or the person in charge of this, was on vacation. So I think we could use it, but an hour of that presentation is excellent. It's on boardsmanship, and it really talks about things that I think we all need to know about. That first section, board basics, hierarchy of governing documents, fiduciary duty, board staff relationships, and procedures of small boards. If we could get permission to watch that, that might be real good. And looking over the comments of the past, a couple people had mentioned OMA and FOIA, so maybe we could get somebody to do that.
Okay.
And there were some of the other comments talked about, getting to know the board a little bit more, to do some strategizing and focusing on board initiatives. So maybe we could just do something together.
Okay.
So I think we might be able to come up with something
Okay.
inexpensive but still very useful.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'll
But-
look into her video on Rails.
but with this reminder of what we said before, especially on short notice, if you think of any things, you could certainly send it to Joe or to me.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to work on planning the retreat, we could do
Okay.
that too.
But in light of that, because in my, the board packet from the committee of the whole meeting on the 6th, I think it was, of July, I mentioned some online resources that are always available to boards for training. And it also made me think there's some very important resources that board members should have just, in their library. Now this is something, the first one here, this green book, is the Illinois Library Laws and Rules. It's a lot of legal mumble, it's not like,
It's a bit
unless
light
you,
reading.
it's, yeah. But this is very important information that we need to at least have access to. And then the print version, when we order these, it also comes with, I'm sorry, thank you, Daniel. It comes with this flash drive, which has basically the book in digital form. So it's probably easy to look, to search for different topics digitally versus through the book. But this is just an important document that everybody should, an important resource that every board member should have at their fingertips. When you retire from the board, whenever you step down from the board, you can always turn that in. We can always recycle them. And for new board members, they come out with a new version every so often. I don't know, I'm not sure how often they revise this, but this is the most recent, so they might be due to come out with a revision soon, especially since they just passed the,
Are there a few sections that you think are so key and so important that we should be aware of? Frankly, would I read this?
no. No,
It's also very small type, even though I have
Yeah.
glasses.
right, but it's, so I can't say to you right now, pages 6 through 10,
Okay.
that's the heart of everything. Because it really depends on what we're talking about and what we're referring to. But these statutes are what, guide us in everything. So it's important, certainly I don't know all of this. I don't have it memorized.
Sure you do.
I don't know. But it's good to have the law available to you. And you can look it up because we talk about statutes all the time, in the library world, especially now. So I can't say for, this section is the heart and soul of what you should read because it really depends on the topic.
Okay.
I think what is much more, two publications that I think you should start to familiarize yourself with is the trustee facts file. This is from the Illinois Library Association, and the 4th edition is the most current one. And this is just really good background information about what it means to be a library trustee, you know, just all the different topics, policy making, intellectual freedom, human resources, facilities, budgeting and financial management, fundraising, advocacy, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say this is something that you might want to, yeah, to look through. Especially what I would focus on is policy making and legal responsibilities and liability, you know, just maybe fundraising. I know that's something that we want to consider for a remodeling project. So anyway, you know, this is also a very handy publication to have. And then the per capita grant is all based on this document here, which is Serving Our Public 4.0 Standards for Illinois Public Libraries. This is also the most recent edition for 2020. And in the past, the per capita grant has required that you go over, if not all of this document, then different sections of the document with your board before you apply for per capita. So it's really important that you all have a copy of this. I'd have to look at the per capita grant requirements for this year. I don't know if it's making us, you know, it's asking us to focus on certain sections, but this is also a very good guideline for the, you know, public libraries like us. And it'll give you just kind of good guidance about governance and administration, how often you should be reviewing your policies, you know, what percentage of your budget should go to different things. It's just a really good guide.
Can we put these documents on the summer reading club?
Yeah.
I could take them with me on my vacation.
I think anything counts, right? You get double points for these.
Definitely, I'll put out several sheets.
Okay, so that's that for sort of some resources I think that it's important that you have. You can turn all of these in when and if you ever retire from the board, but it's good to have these. So this policy, I'm going right into policy and administrative documents. So as you can see in this page here of your board packet, I've been having a lot of challenges locating our policies and what is the most recent policy. Not all of them are where they should be. And so this is the best I could come up with for a list of what policies we have. And most of these are over 10 years old. So we need to make this a priority, I think, is to start reviewing and updating our policies. And so I've started this with some of the staff, looking at our social media policy, our meeting rooms policies, and we're also looking at our employee handbook, which is a mammoth of, you know, it's a big one.
They always are.
So I don't anticipate that we're gonna get through all of these policies with staff and the board then discussing and approving, you know, by the end of the year. No way. It'll probably could take us up to 2 years to get through all of these. But there are some that we really, really want to give our attention to sooner than later. I think we should look at the board bylaws. Those are almost 20 years old. And gifts and donations is over 20 years old. So there's a few in here that we really want to give some attention to as soon as we can. Our unattended children, our safe child policy is 23 years old. So we really need to review these. I mean, I don't think I've ever known of reviewing a policy where we didn't make some changes. Sometimes they're not huge, but you've made some changes. And so we really need to review those. Now, it's my understanding that this will be done in the committee of the whole and not in the policy committee.
That's, you know, we typically save this for, we save the committees for a deep dive so they don't meet very often. My thinking was that this is something that the whole board would want to have fresh. So instead of doing it in the policy committee and then again in the committee, in a regular board meeting, that it would be something that we
Okay.
would typically do in the cow.
Okay, so I'm hoping to have at least one or two of these ready for the Cal meeting, August 3rd. The meeting room policy, we're really close, I think, to finalizing that. And we're going to meet this week about the social media policy. So there's a chance that we'll have two policies for the board to review, discuss, and then, you know, depending on what we need to do or change or whatever, then they might be ready for you to approve at the August 15th board meeting. And I don't think that we would be as aggressive as having two policies every month, but I would like to do at least every 2 to 3 months, review 1 to 2 policies, depending on how meaty they are, so that we get our policies in a good place. It's so important.
May I make a comment on one of these?
Yeah.
Specifically, the meeting rooms. I think that there's a lot of conversation regarding the use of the meeting rooms, only because I belong to several book groups, and I've talked with people from other book groups who've said that, well, we couldn't meet at the library, but then my book group met here, so I don't know if that's one of the factors that you guys are going to take into consideration with regards to the meeting rooms, but.
I'm not sure I mean, are they Batavia residents? Who
Oh,
get
absolutely, yeah.
And I don't know why I don't know any backstory to know.
Well, I don't know what the criteria is for the meeting rooms, like, can anybody from Batavia use them?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what we're ironing out in our policy.
Right, yeah, so I'm glad that that's a priority, that you guys have already started talking about it, because, you know, looking at all of these, I feel like that's kind of a big one. So,
It
yeah.
is. Okay. And also what was missing from this list is we do have a reference policy. And that one is our most recent one. That was done in 2022, I believe, Stacy? Yep. So that will be the last one that we review in a couple of years. Your policies, you should review them at least every 3 years. Well, you should review your policies every 3 years, but there are your bylaws you should review. Let's see. Actually, this is in here. It's in your standards for Illinois Public Libraries. And the guidance here says, the board reviews most library policies every 3 years. The policy governing the selection and use of library materials must, by law, be reviewed biennially, which means every 2 years you're supposed to be reviewed. I don't know, I mean, I don't know that all libraries are able to maintain that, but ideally, you're looking at your collection development policy every 2 years. And I think the same with your employee handbook. You should probably look at that every 2 years. I think your bylaws, you should ideally, you would look at it every time you have an election, you know, and you're going to be getting new board members in, et cetera. So we'll get this up to date. Let's see. Staff updates. Andrew Lantham is our new information technology manager. He will join us on July 31st. We're very excited. He joins us from Addison Public Library, where he is, what's his title? Technology administrator or something, or technology guru or something really good. So we interviewed him, well, I was not here yet, but he was interviewed by the library several months ago. And we also had somebody from Webbit interview him just to see what they thought, and he was like our #1 candidate, first pick. But they, I don't know if they got wind of his possible new job at Addison, but they gave him this raise and a new title and all this stuff, and so he's ended up staying at Addison. Well, this was months ago. So Lisa had this great idea. Let's give him a call, just see how it's going at Addison. No, he's very happy at Addison. But this was a chance for him to be a manager. And so I met with him and talked to him about what this job would be, et cetera. And he ended up saying yes. So we're really excited to have him join us on the 31st. So. And let's see, Elizabeth Carter is a new library page. And Olivia Roller, who I don't even know if I met Olivia before she left. She has now left us, and she was a library page. I'm really sorry, Laura, I'm going to not.
Spakowski.
Thank you. She is in our CERC department and has now reached 10 years here in the library. And there is something that we do when people hit those milestones, and somebody's gonna have to remind me what that is.
At the all-staff meetings.
They get a pin.
They get a pin and then a small token of our appreciation, depending on what year.
And we have our next all-staff development meeting.
Staff
Staff development meeting,
Day,
August, what's the date?
August 25th.
25th. And we have our committee headed by Joanne, working hard to get this all ready to go. And we've got all sorts of good things planned for that day, including some trivia and just lots of fun. It's gonna be fun. And it'll be a
And learning.
great opportunity for me to get to know the staff better too and meet some new people. All right, so so the next upcoming meetings, August 3rd is Decennial Committee meeting, immediately followed by Committee of the Whole at around 6:50. We're going to review at the Committee of the Whole the IPLAR, what do you call that? It's a form, IPLAR form, which is a beast. And the staff have been working really hard to get all the stats together for that. So the board will have a chance to review as close to the final draft as possible, because we have to submit it by September 1st, I think, right? For the 15th, I think it's the 1st. So then at the August 15th meeting, the regular board meeting, you'll approve IPLAR for us to submit. And I'm pretty confident we'll be able to have the social media and meeting room policies ready for the board to look at the CAL. Okay, so now highlights. Adult Services is doing all sorts of new things. We've got new. It's very exciting. So the seed library is a huge success. I think, are you getting new seeds all the time?
Well,
Or are you out?
We are out for the season.
Okay.
For the season, which we're considering a success.
Yes.
Because it means people have been claiming seeds. We're gonna resume in March. The other thing that we're planning for early next year in the first quarter is a seed exchange. So we're just beginning to get our wits about us with plans for that event, which will take place sometime in the first quarter of 2024. So that will be something new this fiscal year.
Can I ask, Stacy, do we do just vegetable, like food seeds, or do we do flowers and
We
stuff?
have flowers too. It's probably about 2/3 vegetables and fruits,
Okay.
and about 1/3, maybe 1/4 flowers.
We've got some more makerspace equipment, some new programs, speed dating with books, teen homeschool hangout, some noteworthy programs. We had Rosie the Riveter, Sunday, which is is that a regular Sundays on Stage?
That was, I asked each program presenter to highlight a couple of programs they particularly thought were outstanding.
Okay.
And so that was a Sundays on Stage event that Kristen really wanted to highlight.
Okay.
Which I thought was really great.
New collection areas, memory care collection, more library things, the metal detector, my son has 2 of them, he loves them. And then Creative Bug is a new database. It's a craft database where you can learn all sorts of different crafty things through their videos, etc. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. I don't want to. Oh, the One Book, One Batavia for 2024 is going to be Ready Player One. And we will be giving you more information as that develops. And one of the Books Between Bites is another annual event that we do, and we just finalized with Becky Hogue the speakers for that event, and I've agreed to be one of them. So I think I'm January, right?
February.
I'm February. I get the short one.
They're gonna let you attend.
They're gonna,
before
yeah, right, exactly. I was like, please, can we do it after the new year? So I'm gonna do one of the Books Between Bites programs, coming up, so that'll be fun. Oh, and we're gonna have a meet and greet with me. Oof, I forget the dates already. It's September, I think. September 9th, right?
13th and 21st maybe?
Yeah, so we're gonna start with the book sale, the Friends book sale on the 9th, from like 10 to 11. And then the following week.
Wednesday, I think it's the 13th.
Yes, Wednesday the 13th in the morning. And then the Thursday, from like 5 to 6, I think, yeah. We tried to plan them when we knew there was like programming or something where we might have people coming in, and so I'll be hanging out here with cookies and meeting and greeting people. But already people have asked to speak to me. It's been really nice. We've met some really lovely people. So.
Same night as the city council.
So let's see, and then in youth services. We're what, halfway through the summer reading program?
More than halfway, 7 weeks. We only have 3 more weeks to go.
Oh,
So get those books in.
that's right. And you can see that Joanne's included information about circulation and programming. Oh my gosh, 396 in-person programs, school group visits, and outreach events. That's pretty impressive. 126 children completed 1,825 activities as part of Winter Library Club. So this is a recap, but lots and lots of participation. And another thing we're going to do is we have this cute display in youth services where the kids get to showcase things. So I think what I'd like to like interview them. Just for like 3 to 5 minutes for a social media thing. And we're gonna start with the I forget his name though, Joanne?
Eli Duda, I think.
Yeah, and he has he does all this like pottery stuff, and he's 6th grade?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna be our first interview. So that should be a lot of fun. I love kids, so we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, who doesn't like talking about all their stuff? Some partnerships. They had 2 new partnerships this year. The annual preschool fair returned to Batavia Public Library with Messenger Public Library as a new sponsor, co-sponsor. And the Batavia United Way brought the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to Batavia. So those are 2 new partnerships that they did with YTS, or Youth Services. Oh, and Joanne's been very busy this last year as the Deputy Director and Head of Youth Services. She served as chairperson of the annual Staff Development Day Committee and is still the chairperson now. Coordinated and presented emergency procedure training at all staff meetings, worked with Adult Service Librarian Roseanne Freund. Am I saying her name correctly? Excellent. To add a contents page to the library's emergency procedures. Worked with Lisa Moore on communicable disease policy. That was fun. Took part in the planning of George Sheets' retirement reception and executive director candidate visits. Yes, she was very, very lovely to meet with when I was coming in. So, yeah, Joanne's been busy. Stacy's been busy. Their staff has been busy. It's been all good. Any questions about our stats? Looking through them. We've got our print material stats, electronic materials, so there's collection stats, then there's also circulation stats, meeting room use, attendance at programs, volunteers, there's a lot of stats. And, you can always send me an email if you ever have any questions about it. And I think that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else to add? We're good.
It's been busy. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Yes, they're fantastic.
Joanne, did you have pictures to show us?
I do. I didn't want to break the
There's,
flow, though.
there's always show and tell, I know.
Stacy, where's your pictures?
Well, Joe did such a nice job.
I'm sorry, I totally forgot that you guys
Summarizing.
usually do this yourself, and I went through and I highlighted it.
Well,
on
that's
there.
okay. It's nice to
My
hear what
apologies.
you're pointing out.
Yeah.
Than what we always know. So some of those pictures are from the July events in youth services. We did have a Maker Day and Bluey Fest and photo booth, bingo at Boogie Woods Park, baby sign language. We had a Little Mermaid sing along. So improv, and we even had improv classes. And you'll see some of the kids standing there. I guess it was very interesting. We had two different groups of students doing improv classes. So as I mentioned, there's only 3 weeks to go for summer reading club. So everyone needs to, it's hard to believe, Elizabeth, school is coming quickly, isn't it?
Got some books for the kids.
So I won't pull out any details. Joe very nicely highlighted my report this month was a little snapshot of the last fiscal year. It seems odd to be talking about the end of the year, but we're talking about the end of the fiscal year. And since we are knee deep in our IPLAR stats, that helps us pull these numbers together for you. And as always, it's a busy year. Joe pointed out our programs and the number of programs, and we're only able to do that because of the Great YST. And just their dedication and their hard work and really trying to engage children of all ages in literacy and learning and making it a warm and welcoming environment. One of the pictures you saw last week, we had a flannel board up. One of our pillars became a flannel board. And we had all kinds of flannel pieces out. And it was so interesting to watch the kids sit there and create their own little flannel board story. It's something that many people don't use in story times. We do still have story time flannel boards. But they were just creating their own little stories. And it was just such a nice, welcoming, warm feeling, and the kids are doing that. This week, we're making circle art. So you can make art, but you can only use circles. So it's down in YS in our group study room. Reader's advisory is evident as far as Joe said, our circulation stats are great. And why children's materials goes for 55% of the library's total print circulation. So children are reading books a lot. Online and off-site programming, as you saw, we're nearing the 20,000 participant number. We were at 19,112 this year, so we're creeping up there, so that was really good. We said goodbye to 2 staff members this year, and we welcomed 2 new ones along. And the partnership. Joe mentioned our newest partnership with Batavia United Way is actually our partner. I'm going to run here for a minute and grab my bag. So just to talk to you about the Batavia United Way and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Don't need to tell you who Dolly Parton is, I'm sure. But I'll let you each just take, if you'd like to take a picture, one of those brochures is kind of a sheet. I don't think the United Way doesn't have a lot of brochures yet, but I just printed this off for you. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is Canada, the UK, many different countries, including the United States. And it was created by Dolly Parton to inspire a love of reading for children from birth through 5, and it offers them free age-appropriate books. Any children are eligible from 0 to 5 who live in Batavia or Batavia Township. So that's how our program, that's how the Batavia United Way has worked through that program. Through the Batavia United Way and the generous sponsors and grants that they have for the program. Children will be able to enroll via the website, the United Way. They can get they follow a link from the library, or we will have applications available down at the desk. We have some already, but the United Way is getting a little stand for us to put that in. So there's really 3 components to this program. The Batavia United Way, they're the local organization partnering with Batavia, with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. They write secure the funding for the program that covers the books and the shipping costs. They're responsible for enrolling the children to put it onto the secure database, the national database. And they also convene and facilitate a committee to oversee this program. Dolly Parton Imagination Library, they provide the infrastructure and the core program. They manage the secure database, they coordinate the book selections, they incur costs of all administrative expenses, and they coordinate the monthly mailings of all these books. Our role as the public library, we of course are the information source. So it makes perfect sense for us to be the ones talking about literacy. And so we are very thrilled that the United Way said we wanted the library to be a partner. We reach a wide audience, and we can certainly make that communications with parents and local caregivers and things like that. We have a new information page on our website, so Hans Kaiser and Kristen Zambo have worked. We've created a link to our early literacy. So Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is joining our own 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten and our own Born to Read program, which are also fabulous early literacy programs. We'll promote, we will have signs up, and we have staff. We often engaging people in what these early literacy initiatives are is often a one-on-one conversation with people. And so we will be doing that we'll add Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to our list of early literacy initiatives. As I said, we'll also serve in distributing applications. So people can get an application through a link from the library website that sends them to the online application, or we will have print copies in the library as well. And a staff person, for right now that'll be me, will serve on the committee too, the local committee for the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and the Batavia United Way. So it's a very exciting opportunity for us. It fits well. I think Joe said this of something that fits right in our wheelhouse with early literacy, and so we're very happy to be a part of that. So it's been a busy, challenging, awesome year. In addition to thanking the staff, I'd also like to thank the board members. You are always great joy to come and talk to on Tuesday evenings and share all of our little tchotchkes and pictures and things like that. And your support and encouragement really mean a lot to me as manager and library staff. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to
I'm
answer
glad
them.
the Dolly Parton has made it to Batavia. I've heard so much about it. I think they said she just did like 200 million books sent out. It is impressive.
Yeah, so, yeah, well, hopefully we can generate a lot of interest in that as well as our own, and bring people to the library.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Stacy wanted?
Can I throw two numbers at you?
You can.
All right.
Throw as much as you want.
This is behind the scenes at the reference desk. The thing people may not know is that every single thing that we get asked, we don't record what the question was, but we take the statistic on our online form. So we count reference questions, which are required for the Illinois Public Library Annual Report, IPLAR, the thing we've been talking about, where we count all the statistics about everything. They want to know how many reference questions. For our information, we also track the number of general library assistance questions that were asked. So the number of reference questions, and so these are the beefy ones. These aren't the, hey, where are the large print books? It's not that, can I use the study room? I'd like to use a computer. Those things are not included. Reference questions are things like, can you help me download this app? Or I've downloaded this app and it isn't working, what's going wrong? And we're helping with troubleshooting. It could be, I'm researching this and such topic. How many, I'm looking for books about this and so. Reference questions. The past fiscal year in adult services, we answered nearly 10,000 It was 9,900 and some odd questions. So we're busy. And then that doesn't even count, I should have counted the general library assistance questions. I didn't pull those up for IPLAR, but that number is something that can be calculated. It's much higher because we get those things all the time. But almost just shy of 10,000. So Joe was correct in saying that we've been busy bees back in adult services. Thanks, Joe, for the really great overview of, no, I'm serious. Like the things that I was hoping to highlight are the things that you mentioned. So in addition to that, the two numbers, 10,000, just shy of 10,000 reference questions, and the participation in adult services programs, 21,000 this past fiscal year. So, and of that, 17,000 is asynchronous programs, which are the things like online things that you can watch whenever it's convenient for you. So a lot of those are things like our community check-in videos online, author interviews, and some of the other virtual programs that we get permission from the presenters to post on Facebook afterwards. Sometimes in perpetuity, sometimes they'll let us do that for a month after the program. Some presenters decline that option, but we're always grateful when they do because it offers a really great opportunity for people to participate in those programs, to take in that content, even if they're busy at the time of the event. It allows them to time shift it, which we're really excited about, and those numbers are really quite extraordinary and exciting for us. So, any questions?
Stacy, would
Yeah.
you, or I would just make a comment, and if you want to add anything, One Book, One Batavia, it's so nice, the range of books that you have. Ready Player One is just one of those kind of surprising ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to just talk for a minute about?
I would love to talk about it, and I'll keep it short. So, One Book, One Batavia. We have a few goals for One Book, One Batavia, and one is to choose a book that the community can really discuss. One of the other goals is to provide exposure to a wide variety of different reading experiences. So in the past, we have had things from an encyclopedia. The Encyclopedia of Chicago was one of our selections, to classics such as Pride and Prejudice. The Hound of the Baskervilles was another example of a classic. We've had science fiction in the past, as we're having this year. Connie Willis came and spoke to us one year when we did Doomsday Book. And in recent years, we've done some historical nonfiction. So we knew this year we wanted a novel, and we kind of looked at, okay, which direction do we want to go? And the committee, which is made up of library staff representatives, representatives from the Friends of the Batavia Public Library, as well as the Batavia High School LRC director, we come together, we bring our ideas, we cut it down to a short list of about half a dozen books. We all go out and sample those books, come back together, and discuss what we think would work well, what's going to offer interesting program opportunities. And this year we settled on Ready Player One, which is a science fiction novel. Science fiction is not my natural reading zone, but this book is so fun to read. It's an adventure story, it's a quest narrative, it's a friend's story, it's overcoming obstacles, it's fast moving, it's funny, it's full of 80s pop culture references. It's really a delight. So even for people who don't think that they're science fiction readers, which I would say that's me, this book is a true pleasure to read. It's enormous fun. And Kristen Schultz in Adult Services, who handles most of our programming, is putting together some really interesting programs. So watch for that in February and March of next year. We'll be having some really great opportunities, and I get to lead the book discussion in February. So very excited about that. Thanks for your question,
Stacey.
Daniel.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
All right, thanks again. I will say the policy report was very interesting, but some of the other reports were a little more fun.
We have all the fun.
But it is just great to hear how well used the library is, and you attract people, they want to come, so we're very fortunate. All right, number 11, we have a list of upcoming meetings.
Just the decennial committee meeting, the committee of the whole on the 3rd, We're gonna review IPLAR and the social media and meeting room policies, I hope. And then your regular meeting on the 15th to approve IPLAR and hopefully the final draft of the social media and meeting room policies. That's coming up.
With that, number 12 is adjournment, and I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I will second. We're not sure. Who got it? Third. Pick one.
Mary Ann got it. So we don't need to discuss. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.